In this video, we are joined by 6 Miles Tall. We're talking all about his experience in China, more specifically Shanghai Disneyland. I also got George the Italiano with me up next on OG 55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. In today's episode, we're talking all about Shanghai Disneyland. We're going to break it down with Mr. 6 Miles Tall. 6 Miles, it's great to have you. First time on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, and I'll link everything down below so they can have easy access to it. But
yeah, sure. If you go to the Twitter or X, as some people call it today, I'm at 6 Miles Tall with a SIX, just like here. Or is it right there? Also, I have YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, 6 Miles Tall, I have Instagram, 6 Miles, everything 6 Miles Tall. So just look for anything 6 Miles Tall. I do have a Blue Sky account that I never use. I have one post on that says I'm just here to save my name, but mostly X. You'll see him at X all day long.
Yep, absolutely. And he does a lot of Disney content. So check him out on all his platforms. I'll be linking everything down below. But again, 6 Miles, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the Italiano, it's been a while, buddy. You look great, dude.
Too long, but I appreciate it. Thank you. It's amazing what 2 hours does to you.
Yeah, exactly. If you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, George.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There.
And really quick, 6 Miles Tall, before we get into everything of the discussion, I absolutely love the name 6 Miles Tall, but I remember I asked you what that actually signifies. So being that this is your first time on the channel, if you want to let everyone know what actually 6 Miles Tall represents.
Yeah, so if you go back to the 1966 video with Walt Disney was in his TV show explaining this future Epcot park, this Florida project that they're making. If you go to one part of that video where he's standing against a map on the wall in the Imagineering space, there's giant tall map, and he has the stick in his hand, and he kind of puts it up to himself and stands against the map, the big Florida property, and he says, "According to this scale, I am 6 miles tall." So that's where I got that video. It literally means Walt Disney himself. So
that's brilliant. Awesome. That's brilliant. I love that. I absolutely love that. So 6 Miles, let's get into it. So okay, so you recently came back from Shanghai Disneyland, right?
Yes.
Now, this is not your first time, though. You've been, 4 times, I believe?
Yeah, I've been 4 times. I went there in 2017, 2019, twice. Actually, 2019, last year, and this year. And I'm an engineer. I'm a product engineer, so I go to China often anyway for manufacturing. And my strategy is since I'm in Atlanta, Shanghai is 12 time zones away. So I leave here on a Friday morning. I get to Shanghai there Saturday night. I go straight to bed, so I'll be asleep. And then none of the factories are open on Sunday. So I always go to Shanghai Disneyland on Sunday all day from rope drop to the last guy out of the park. And it's the perfect place to stay awake all day, get rid of that jet lag, and be ready for work the next day. So because of me being there all day for these experiences, I purposely snoop around and see everything as much as I can. So I got I have a lot of YouTube videos I've put up on the channel for years. So check out my 6 Miles Tall YouTube. And there's a lot of recent stuff from this year, of course, because Zootopia is brand new and open.
Yeah, no, and from the stuff that we're going to get into some of the video for that, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. But like overall, because you've been a few times now, right? So you can make a good opinion onto like your overall feeling as to what this park is about. This park has gotten some criticism. It's also gotten a lot of praise. But in your opinion, after going a few times, I mean, what's your assessment of it?
So Shanghai Disneyland is really Bob Iger's baby. It's his park. It's sort of like a what if project for Imagineering that, what if they looked at Disneyland and looked at the Magic Kingdom and looked at Paris Disneyland and says, well, what if we just were really clean sheet and did something totally different, taking everything that we learned from all these parks, not just Magic Kingdom, but places like Epcot and stuff like that, and just did a completely different layout and then built a park for that. And I think that's what they did. I think that's how they approached it. But one really key fact about Shanghai Disneyland is that there's nothing nostalgic about the park at all. When you go to the merch shops and everything is like Donald and Goofy and the bear thing. What are the bear things? The um, you know,
Country Bears?
no. Like the little fox and the girls love them. I can't remember.
The Duffy and Friends.
Yes, the Duffy and Friends. They're all over the place. So this park is really about teaching the Chinese what is Disney, because a lot of them have been living in isolation forever, and they don't get really exposed to what we see here in the States or even in Europe. So a lot of them are really exposed to the Disney brand for the first time in a major way when they come to this park. So everything is for that. So it's like, so you really won't find merchandise that actually says Shanghai Disneyland on it very much. And you won't see stuff like this is year number 5 or whatever. They don't care about any of that. So it's all about the Disney brand purely. But the other thing too, is that it feels absolutely enormous. It's hard to get a judgment for how big it is. I've looked online to find out how many acres it is compared to Disneyland. And they count like the whole Disneyland resort. And the Disneyland resort is this bigger plot of land than just Disneyland. So
Right.
it's kind of like a Disney World in the making, kind of. So the Disneyland Resort Park is actually kind of in the northwest corner of this overall property, and there is some reserve place to build another park. And there's a giant lake, and there's a Disneyland Hotel, and the Toy Story Hotel. So it's very spread out. But when you walk in the park, you can really tell the difference between what a modern design of a Disney park is compared to what we've been seeing forever since 1955. For instance, when you walk up to the front gate, there's a lot of space for people getting there ready to rope top. So they're really, really good at staging all the people. Bear in mind, there's 26 million people just in the Shanghai city alone, just in the whole metro area. So it's like a country within a country. It's a huge number of people stacked up. There's buildings and apartments just as far as the eye can see. So it's very easy to sell the park all the time.
And they don't really. Well, sorry to interrupt. They don't really have when you go into the park too. They don't really have like a typical, because the main streets are based on Walt's childhood, the Marceline, Missouri one.
Yes,
but this one doesn't have that. Well, it does, but it doesn't. Right?
It has what's called Mickey Avenue. So you walk into the park, and actually before you walk into the park, you go through these very well designed ticket gates that are very spaced out. You come up to the front, and it has the big floral thing of Mickey in the front of what they're quote unquote train stations. There's not a train there, but they have something that looks like a train station. Some people actually discount this being a Disney park because it does not have a train, and they got something to stand by there. But when you pass underneath and you go into Mickey Avenue, that's their version of Main Street. And some people criticize that, like, why would you not put Main Street USA in a castle park, for goodness sake? Well, over there, it really works because again, they're really trying to brand Disney to all the kids, all the characters and some of the cartoon history, the film history, not necessarily American history. I guess they're hesitant to put anything Americana into a Chinese park. But I also think it's just an experiment to see, what else can you do besides a Main Street? And it's also not very long. It's a very short street. And it's kind of comparable to what you might see in the cartoon land over at Disneyland in the back of the park. What's it called?
Toontown.
Yeah, Toontown. Somewhat like that a little bit. You can look up at some of the second stories and you'll see like the Pete's dentist shop, and you can hear like their speakers playing of him drilling and saying "hold still" and stuff like that. So it's really funny. It's just a bunch of silliness everywhere.
That's interesting. Yeah, and you're right. It's I think very much so a cultural thing as to why these changes were implemented, right? Like you said, they don't want a whole lot of Americana in the Chinese park. Yeah. I don't know. There might even is there something with the train in regards to that? Do we know why there's no train, or was it just a creative decision just not to have one?
It must have been a creative decision because I can imagine it's pretty expensive to lay out train around a track, especially in China. You have to either bring a train there or find some historic Chinese train. I don't know if it would match up with the decor. So I don't know why they made that decision, but there's actually a store there that's like a whistle stop train store. So there's like stories of a train there near Mickey Avenue. I can show pictures of that later, but it's no train, but it is short. So when you cross over Mickey's Avenue, you come to what's called the Gardens of Imagination, and the Gardens of Imagination is right across this promenade, and it's a giant open space. So when they built Disneyland, they had the small plaza hub, because there was no thoughts of having fireworks or projection shows or anything like that when they built these parks, including Walt Disney World. So Walt Disney World, they had to expand that area in front of Cinderella's castle for the projection shows. Well, at Disneyland, they just knew how to design it from the very beginning. So it was designed on purpose. So you could literally fill that entire area with every person in the entire park to watch the projection fireworks shows, and they show up. So,
Wow.
so last time I went to see the show, and it was really spectacular. A lot of Marvel stuff in it, of course. But this time I did not go see the show. I went around the area behind like Fantasyland and Pirates Cove and stuff, and there was nobody there. I was the only person back there. You could walk onto Pirates of the Caribbean, no wait at all. So everybody's watching the fireworks show, and so it's designed for handling those crowds. They've learned everything at the other parks and did stuff different here to put on that type of show, and it really works really well. But
Yeah, real quick, I want to ask you. So logistically, it works really well. Do the changes though take away from the energy? Like for example, like with Disneyland, it's cramped, but there's like that charming quality. Does it take away from like the experience at all, or is it all around kind of just better?
I think from me having been to Walt Disney World and to Disneyland a little bit, yes. Everything is just very spread out. The sidewalks, the pathways. There's actually a promenade that goes around this Gardens of Imagination. One goes off to Adventure Isle area. The other one goes by Tomorrowland and Toy Story Land. So it's sort of like the Epcot World Showcase promenade within a castle park, and that's really good for parades and handling the crowds and having everybody seated on the sidewalks, things like that. That crowd control actually works very, very well. And when you want to kind of rope drop and get yourself to one particular area of the park, it's pretty wide open for you to get there. So, yes, you do kind of lose the nostalgia, but remember, this is a park designed for the Chinese people. They're not going to have any sense of that. So, they have their own born first day impression of just what Shanghai Disneyland is. I'm sure if they come over to California, they'll be like, this place is cramped. How do I get around?
Well, and there's almost kind of like an air of like almost like relief, I think, with when you break away from the nostalgia, because Disney's very kind of restricted as to what they can do here in California, because it's like Walt's Park, and there's the fans are really watching, right? Yeah. In China, it's like you said, there's no nostalgia factor, so there's a freedom there to kind of do what you want to do creatively, and it even kind of reminds me a little bit of Universal, because Universal kind of shares that same sort of like, yes, there's nostalgia, but it's not as aggressively nostalgic as Disney, So Universal they have more permission to sort of, remove this, remove that. They don't get the heat like a Disney would. In Shanghai, they're kind of doing the Universal thing. They can kind of, it's a fresh slate, and they can kind of go in there. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry, brother.
No, you're good, bro. When it comes to the cast members, do you still get the same kind of quality that you do at the domestic parks? Do you feel like that Disney difference? Do they do things a little bit differently because of the Chinese culture? Like the similarities, differences, like all around?
They're just as pleasant as they are over here. And I think you can kind of tell that they're trained by Disney professionals from here, showing them how to put that across to their guests. When I go to the mall or to restaurants or other places in China, they're very accommodating too. But when you go to Disney, you see a little bit of difference than what you see around other areas of China. And I don't know if I have a bias towards answering that question, because, they see an American and I think they kind of show, impress me a little bit, because, I've been in the park plenty of times where maybe I'm the only American in the entire park. I don't know who else Asian is traveling from America and visiting too, but this you can tell that there's a little bit of favoritism to make sure this guy's having a good time. I don't know, but other than that, from what I observe from afar, how they're treating others, yeah, they do a great job. They're top notch. Anything that you need help with, if you're trying to figure out how to order food mobile and things like that, they'll come right up to you and show you exactly what to do, all that. So
Is it kind of challenging for you as far as like with the language barrier, so to speak, or do they have like different kind of tools maybe on the Disney Shanghai map that can help you with that? How does that go as well?
every sign in Shanghai Disneyland is both English and Chinese, so it's very, very, very easy. That's another reason I go there on my Sunday jet lag recovery day is because, I can survive on my own pretty easily there. It's all, gated in, and I know where I'm going. I know how to get around. It's kind of like a last chance as sort of American food a little bit as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very easy to go there on your own. If you're a single traveler, you can get through Disneyland very, very easily.
Yeah, while you're saying all this, I'm taking like notes. So it's like
Yeah.
And I've talked about going to Tokyo, but I'd love to go to Shanghai as well. I want to explore these international parks.
Yeah. In the back of my mind, I call Shanghai Disneyland Disneycot, sort of like a mix between Disneyland and Epcot, because it's big and spread out and has these promenades, and they, like you said, they have the freedom to do weird things. Like they have a Toy Story land in Disneyland. They have Soarin' in Disneyland, and when Tron came out, I rode Tron back in 2017, and you go to their Tomorrowland. It's absolutely spectacular. It's very beautiful. It's the most, if it were a city, it'd be the most beautiful city I've ever seen in my life. Wow. But it was also like gargantuan and just so unusual. We have, what our Tomorrowlands look like at all the other parks. This is just patently different in every way.
And that's what you were saying, OG, like where it seems like the international parks, they don't have that nostalgia kind of attached to it. So it's like, you could put Soarin' and Tron and Fantasyland and Pirates all in one park. And it's like, to them, it's like, this is just one kick-ass good park. You do that over here, you'd have a riot on your hands.
You would, but over there, it seems to work, but it is kind of weird to somebody who's been to the American parks so long. Like, I'm going to a Soarin' here in Adventureland. Okay.
Oh, so it's an Adventureland out there, huh?
Yeah. So, the park is backwards. You have Mickey Avenue, that's sort of like the main street, and then you go left to go to Tomorrowland, or you go right to go what's called Adventure Isle, which is kind of their Adventureland.
I like that name.
Yeah. And so, and when you go into Adventure Isle, there's a big attraction there called Roaring Rapids. It's sort of like the Rapids ride in a California Adventure, the bear,
Grizzly River,
Grizzly Peak. Yeah, sort of like that. And then they have this big climbing adventure cliff mountain thing, sort of like their sea story, their sea characters. You get to go on to the little exploration trails and then climb this thing. And behind that is Soarin', and Soarin' actually there is very spectacular. If you see my YouTube, I'm going to show you my YouTube channel later on for that, but it's got a whole different story to it. It actually has a story to it. So if you go to the California Adventure, and it's kind of like this, eastern edge of California out in the desert, airplane type of motif to it. And then you go to the land pavilion at Epcot, it's like you're at an airport. But when you're at Shanghai Disneyland, it's very much like a cross between Indiana Jones and the Mexico pavilion of Epcot. It's like you're going into this ancient temple, and there's rock formations everywhere. And you go inside of this enormous waiting area that's going back and forth, and you can see the Milky Way above you on the ceiling. And they have this phone game. So like as you're going along the tunnels inside the temple, sort of like Indiana Jones, there's this hieroglyphics on the wall that are actually QR codes. So you can scan the QR codes with your phone and play this little social game while you're in line, waiting for the attraction. And you're in this big area. It's like the size of Costco, back, because there's so many people at the park. And they have these projections up in space, sort of like the Hunger Games. When somebody dies off, you see that little projection up in there in the dome.
Yeah.
And it's showing the results of these social games that you're playing. So it's a lot of fun. It's very different, but it's kind of like the way the Soarin' attraction ought to be built. So,
wow. It sounds really that their version sounds really grand compared to ours. Like it's
Even like the entry room where you're getting the instructions, the safety spiel, it's a whole different story. There's like this ancient mystical lady that's, you know, telling you thank you for coming, and we have this magical experience. You get to change into this phoenix bird, and we're going to fly across the world. So totally different story.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's
really.
incredible. That sounds like a completely different experience what we have out here and what we have over there at Epcot.
Yeah.
Now there's no Frontierland over there, right? We don't have any version of that, or
no, but in Toy Story Land they have kind of like a rodeo type of ride with the horse, sort of like the alien saucers. So it's not really, but sort of.
okay.
Toy Story Land was an addition that came, I think, in 2018 or so. And so they have, you know, a different attraction for Slinky Dog. It's sort of like the county fair type of attractions that you have. They just kind of just spin around a thing. And they have the racer car that goes up and down a little loop. It's kind of a coaster, but it doesn't do anything but go up and down and up and down. Still fine.
Yeah.
But it's very, very themed. And so when they built the Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios, you can really see the similarities, but nothing is the same. You know, it's completely different design.
Wow. And okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because for a castle park to have that as its own land, that's interesting. We don't really have anything out here like that. Like we do have, you know, Galaxy's Edge out here in Disneyland, but they take it to a whole nother level out there with the one IP lands. You know, we'll get into Zootopia in a little bit, but it's interesting. What are your thoughts, George, on that?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting because you and I were having that conversation about Toy Story, of like where kind of placement would you put that like in a type of park, like with a castle park. But see, for us, you know, we would say, oh gosh, that would stick out like a sore thumb, you know, but it's like, but for, you know, the people over in Shanghai, it's like,
they don't know any better.
They just like, ooh, a new land, you know, more stuff to do, you know, and that's great. Now, you had mentioned briefly about Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, everybody knows that Shanghai Pirates is completely different than any other Pirates at any of the Disney parks.
Very much.
What's your take on that? As far as like the scope goes, your experience, is it an attraction that is, do you see as like the next generation of theme park attractions?
It's surprisingly spectacular. So when I rode it the first time, I think it was in 2017, I was blown away by it. At first, when I was in the queue space, it was a little underwhelming in the queue space because I expect a lot, you know, from what you see at Walt Disney World when you're walking through the Spanish fort. It's sort of the same thing there, but you can see the show building from afar. So it's like a Costco on top of a Costco, huge space. But when you're right there at close up to it, it's much more themed. When you're in the outside portion of it, when you're walking outside, they have the headstones with a silly little saying, sort of like the Haunted Mansion. So it's kind of like their version of that experience. But when you go inside, you know, you start to get much more of a sense that you're in this troubled piratey area. And on the actual attraction, it's unlike, I mean, of course, I'm sure you've seen the videos, but it's very unlike what's in California and what's in the Magic Kingdom and what's in Paris or Japan, I guess, because I call it a sequel attraction because all the characters of the Jerry Bruckheimer movies are in this attraction. It doesn't have any of the story that you see in the Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, and the boats are huge. There's partially water, partially guided. There's really some surprising parts in there where you come across Jack Sparrow, and you know, being the American riding in it, I don't understand any of the spiel that's going on. It's all in Chinese. So who knows what they're saying? I would like to go in there with headphones and listen to an English version if that was possible. But the boat actually like turns around and goes backwards, and it kind of has this effect of falling down falls, and all of a sudden you go into these giant rooms that are sort of like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but with some kind of side theming against the screening, and you're underwater. And it was the first time I've been in one of those giant effect rooms with the projections everywhere, and seeing it on YouTube and listening about like, oh damn it, projections, that's not a very good attraction. When you're in this thing, you feel it. You feel like you're underwater. You can see the squid above you, these ships floating way above your head. you get the feeling, and it's really, really, really good. And I really hope my wish is that they go to Hollywood Studios, take down the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular, and put a Pirates there, and I think it would be totally okay because it's a sequel attraction. It's not the same as the Magic Kingdom attraction.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's interesting is that the rumor is that that's actually going to be the same ride system they use for the Pandora out here at Disneyland Resort.
Yeah, and I think also the Moana, or the Encanto attraction, perhaps.
Interesting.
In the Animal Kingdom. So that fact is actually, you're right. No, the Moana attraction. The Moana attraction would be.
I was going to say Moana would be quite interesting because I remember when they showed WDI's like patent for a type of ride system, they actually showed Moana and Maui as like the example of like the scope of it. So I think that would be quite interesting. But I did watch a lot of YouTube videos on the Pirates, and again, as you said, it probably is like nothing compared to being there in person. But I love how they incorporate, if they do have screens, but they also have real life props and
practical effects and things like that. It's real. They've done just a really, really good job there. It's a masterpiece of engineering, and I wish it wasn't in Shanghai Disneyland and only there, because everybody needs to see this. It's very, very good. Very, very
I've seen clips of like your boat going in between these other two giant pirate ships, and it's like
you go into one and then you're like trapped in the middle of it, and you see this sword fight between Jack Sparrow and somebody, and water starts splashing all around you, and you're falling back down on a hill again. And
what?
That's insane.
That sounds incredible, dude. That sounds absolutely. Oh my gosh. So is it okay? So have you been on Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway?
Yeah.
So when your vehicle comes to that waterfall and you go down, right? It's a cute little effect. This is like, I'm assuming, way more believable.
Yeah,
right?
because there's splashing water, there's cannons, there's speakers all over you, kind of giving the effect of creaking wood and splitting stuff, and it's insane. It's really a lot of fun.
That's incredible. Well, hopefully we get something like that out here, with the Pandora or something, and in Florida too,
Yeah, if any of this expansion stuff has this type of technology and just different versions applied to it, it's going to be great. It's going to be so popular. It's going to sell out tickets all the time.
Makes me wonder if they may even add that to Indiana Jones at Animal Kingdom, even though it's going to be kind of reskinned from Dinosaur, which they'll still have like the track layout. But I wonder if a lot of the visual effects and all that, they kind of could incorporate, that with like a land version.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I kind of like to see something like that. That dinosaur attraction to me is very dark. It's not very memorable to me because it's so dark. I get the jump scares all the time, but when I come out the next day, I'm like, all I remember is a dinosaur coming from my head. That's it.
You know what? That's funny you mentioned that, 6 Miles, because I've only been to Walt Disney World once, right? But we went on the dinosaur thing together, George, right?
We did.
And you're right. It's very forgettable. Like, I don't really remember too much about it, and it was just a few months ago.
Yeah. They need to light the place up. They need to light the place up a little bit. Put some deeper effects in there. Give it a little bit of life, more than just right there in your face.
I do remember. I do remember when the vehicle was pulling up, and I turned to OG and I said, "So what'd you think?" And he went, "Not bad, not bad at all." He said, "Wasn't good, but not bad."
Yeah,
let's go ride tricep spin. Let's go ride the spinner ride.
Yeah. I think the problem with that dinosaur ride too is the inevitable comparisons between that and Indiana Jones. It's just hard to kind of get out of your head. It's like this. It's like the web slingers thing. You're always going to compare it to the one at Universal.
Yeah. When Dinosaur came out, when Animal Kingdom opened, the dinosaur movie was kind of new as well. So people had that familiarity and attachment, but it just seems to be lost now. I don't know if people are excited about it.
Now, not to get too much on a tangent, we'll get back to Shanghai in a second. I just wanted to ask you, 6 Miles, do you think Indiana Jones could work in that space, considering the park it's in? Story-wise, could they work that in, or is it kind of a weird kind of a shoehorn in your opinion?
I think it's a little bit of a weird shoehorn. I think Indiana Jones could work somewhere in Walt Disney World for sure. But when they put it into that space, I think they're cheating a little bit because, they designed the attraction for Indiana Jones in Disneyland and basically copy pasted it here in Orlando. And so I think their familiarities may be taking over in their minds. Let's just put Indiana Jones there. He's popular. I don't know if with kids 3 years from now, 10 years from now, if that's going to stick or not. So I'm kind of hoping to see something different at maybe D23. I don't know. When you think of Indiana Jones, you really have to say, okay, well, how does this apply to animals and conservation? And, yes, he sees snakes. He's been on a circus train. Maybe the attraction is like, let's go survive amongst the beetles and the ants and the snakes and the the bugs of the natural world. It's the new Bugs Life.
Yeah, or they could do like a kind of like an archaeologist sort of adventure, looking for like a dinosaur egg or something. Maybe I guess.
Maybe you open up the secret room and here's these dinosaurs that have always been here forever. Maybe.
Something crazy like that. I have a feeling though Disney's not going to go through that kind of story trouble. They're just going to kind of just put it in there, and it's like I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. Tokyo has a completely different storyline. They got the crystal Skull, I think, right over there.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah, they got a different one. We have the Forbidden Eye. They got is it Crystal Skull, George?
I think it's the Crystal Skull.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. Because I think it's at Tokyo Disney Sea in one of their ports. Yeah. And then they have the other Indiana, I forget which park has it, the Indiana Jones, kind of like a minecart roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, Paris.
Thing.
Yeah,
Paris. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now that's supposed to be like after the Temple of Doom, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Outside, around some temple.
Yeah.
Now 6 miles, we're getting back to Shanghai. So what about this castle? Because this castle on video, in pictures, looks ginormous.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, like if you have, remember that castles are sort of like these military fortifications. This one you could survive in a war. I think it's bricky, it's stone, it's big. It's very intimidating. So, of course they want you to see it across from the park and you can see it from everywhere. That's a good thing. But I think maybe China just wanted to say, we're going to one up the whole world and build the biggest castle there is. And they absolutely did that. Actually, when you're approaching the park, where the parking lot is, where the buses come and drop you off, you have to go up this escalator and walk across this elevated bridge, approaching the front area of the park. And from that bridge, you can see the whole park. You can see the castle. It's really spectacular view. And the castle really stands out for that. But inside the castle, they actually have this tour. It's called Storybook Castle. So they have this storybook tour where you can climb up into the top and all throughout and see, all kinds of staged effects of showing Snow White and Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast and all that. It's really, really nice. Inside of it, it's just glorious. A lot of great mosaics, stained glass. It's really pretty from up front when you're walking, right at this level. But yeah, it's huge.
Now it's not compared to the other castles, which are all based on at least like one princess. Like we got Sleeping Beauty out here in California. Mm-hmm. Florida has Cinderella. I believe Paris is also Sleeping Beauty, if I'm not mistaken. But out there in Shanghai, though, it's not to one princess, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's kind of just distributed among whatever they want to brand. Remember, they're trying to sell Disney to the kids to tell them what it is. So everybody's in there. I think that's why they call it Storybook Castle. So you can.
Yeah, that's interesting. The interesting approach, and I like that. A lot of people complain about Disney sort of like doing the clones, But look, I mean, whether people love these ideas or they don't love them, I do appreciate that Disney went in a different direction and tried something new. I'd rather them do that than just cut and copy and just, what I'm saying? At least, hey, take the chance. If you swing and you miss, it's all good. But at least you tried something different, and instead of just lifting stuff and just cut and copy. So.
Yeah, I wonder too, because it's China. They don't like to have these people of prominence overruling the land. So maybe they didn't want somebody that was sort of like the queen of Disneyland to be perceived, and that doesn't mix with their society. You like to have equality everywhere. Nobody's king.
That's a good point. Now, do they have a partner statue out there, or?
Yeah, they do. Well, it's the Mickey. It's sort of like the one they have in California Adventure, where it's Walt and his projector, and Mickey's holding his hand. It's basically the same design, kind of near at the end of Mickey Avenue. you walk to the end of that, and you got the cast. A lot of people get their pictures by it. They love it.
Okay.
I often wonder, do these kids even know what Walt Disney is? So I'm glad they put that statue there of that particular one, sort of like in his cartoon maker form versus his in a suit or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love that DCA statue. And it was brilliant to put it on on ground level because I think that just feels warmer. The partner statue at Disneyland just feels like this Greek god. He's on this pedestal, you know. But like that DCA one and the one they just put in Hong Kong where he's on the bench, and even the Epcot one, you know, it's a warmer sort of like, you know, it's with us, you know. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Should we dive into? I got some great footage here from your YouTube channel from Zootopia.
Yeah. So before that, let's talk about Fantasyland just a little bit because that's sort of where this is branched off. Fantasyland is pretty giant, pretty spread out. It's all through the back of the park. They have one of these Alice in Wonderland mazes. They got this attraction called the Crystal Grotto or something like that. It's sort of like their version of the Jungle Cruise and Storybook Land and Disneyland, kind of showing these little water sprite effects of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Little Mermaid, again branding the park. And so much the rest of Fantasyland is behind that. Now where Zootopia is behind Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is sort of like at the very, very back of the park. How they built this Zootopia land is very strange. You have to go way around the back of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train to even get to it. And then it's all kind of back there. And then you come way back on the other side of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train to get back to the park. So it's like you're almost leaving the park to go see Zootopia Land. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah,
that is interesting. So it's very separated. Does it feel a little bit like, you know, at Disneyland where you're because Galaxy's Edge kind of has that separation feeling to it, like that.
Yeah, yes, very much so. Yeah, you have to go underneath the passageway, and you come out to this different existence. Except it's a long walk. There's a video I want you to show about that long walk later. But let's look at some of the park here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and I'm gonna mute it so you can kind of explain as we go. You know what we're looking at here.
So this sign is on the Winnie the Pooh side. There's a little Winnie the Pooh corner of the land near Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and that's the sign. But from this little area is from the east part of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then we're walking into this little road. This road is where you start to feel like you're in this other world almost. Like these animals are here usually. They don't happen to be here while you're walking around, so you're not walking amongst cars and things like that. But it's very natural. It feels like your best friend, Little Rabbit's right around the corner, and it's scattered with delights just everywhere. So here you see a bunch of street lights, and there's a lot of little funny signs on them. You see the girl there. Everybody's dressed up with a little Judy Hopps ears.
That's great.
Everybody. You don't see nearly as many ears as you do Judy Hopps ears all day, all throughout the park. It's crazy.
Wow.
So
this is breathtaking. This is well, real quick. I just want to come back to, I mean, this is unbelievable. The scale, even from back here, is incredible.
Yeah, it's every little detail of this park has been thought through and applied. So, you know, when I didn't know what Zootopia really was until a month before my trip. I didn't even watch the movie. I watched it 2 weeks before I went. I was like, okay, I can see that's a lot of fun. And then I came here and I'm like, wow, this is far beyond my expectation. Far. Every little detail. And it's also much more naturalistic than I perceived. You know, the idea before of having something to go in Animal Kingdom, and people bring up Zootopia all the time. Should Zootopia go to the Animal Kingdom? I was one of the people that said, hell no. No. Don't put that type of story with, you know, animals wearing pants into the conservation park. It doesn't belong. When I walked around this land in the morning, like you're seeing here, I kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Really?
That's interesting. You want to elaborate on that? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's much more natural than I perceive. You're coming up here in this video to sort of like the little cityscape area, and it loses a little bit of that natural feeling, but it still keeps some of it. So of course, everybody's trying to figure out how in the world can you possibly put Zootopia in any American park, and you can keep playing it while I'm talking here.
Okay.
Yeah. And, so let's just look at the Walt Disney World. Where could you possibly put this in Walt Disney World? My natural inclination of where it actually belongs, and you can see here the breathtaking city features. I think if they did not build Tron where it is in the Magic Kingdom right now, this would be a perfect blend between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. Near the little circus area.
Right.
It would take up the speedway. It would take up the area behind Tron. It's a big space. It's got a giant show building that you don't see anywhere. But I think that transition would be really spectacular. It would fit very, very well. I think that's the best place. But of course, you can't do that because they built Tron. So, and I don't know if there's any other place you could put it in Magic Kingdom besides there. I would not put it in the back area behind Big Thunder. I just don't think it. I don't think you get that match.
Could you do Hollywood Studios?
I thought about that. But then I thought, it's nice to have some of that connection. It's sort of like California Adventure too. It's nice to have that connection between what is Hollywood, what is sort of like LA area, what is movie making, and how does this fit? I didn't really feel it as much because this is a very independent thing. And if you go back here and play some of the night videos later, this place really freaking lights up at nighttime. Hold that spot right there. Hold that.
Okay, right here.
Yeah. So you can see that little glass stained building right there.
Yeah.
That's a train station. So you can see behind the glass, you can see these trees and the limbs and stuff. When you play it, there's like video imagery back there of animals walking back and forth, and there's this train that zips back and forth. It's spectacular. You can see it really, really good at nighttime. So it's very busy. Every little corner is so active. Every little nook and cranny has some little detail to it that is just delightful. There's all these little buildings. You can keep playing. There's this little areas off to the side behind the little cityscape area, like where the animals have their shops and stuff. So there's this place where this elephant has this cafe. I think it's called Jumbo's Cafe, but it's just Jumbo spelled kind of in a French style. That's it right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can get some ice cream, some ice pops and stuff there.
And the scale. I mean, this is like a real city. This is crazy.
It is. Yeah.
Now, can you see this in a park like DCA? Because we were discussing like as part of like for Disneyland Forward, where OG had mentioned that if they were to incorporate Zootopia into DCA, of how it could kind of fit into that California culture is like you would have like the cityscapes and everything like downtown Los Angeles and what have you.
Yeah, I like that. OG, I know you like the Hollywood land area sort of reserved for Avatar. I think this might go better there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they could do like a Los Angeles version of this or something,
Yeah, and have just a little bit of a blend from the old to the new. And it would fit there. So the show building that occupies the attraction would sort of fit back in that space, like where in the Hyperion Theater is, and maybe a little bit extended beyond. If they put it in DCA, I think it would go pretty good there.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, I'm really kind of blown away at how big this is.
I was too, honestly. When I was walking in there the first time, I didn't know what to expect. And you see little stuff like here off to the left, these little doorways and stuff, like where a polar bear lives, and they'll have like tiny little areas where like mice live, and there's one building here across the street. You can see it come into view now. There's like a little habit trail hamster tube thing, and this little hamster just kind of skates down the thing every couple of minutes. It's cute as hell.
Well, yeah, I've seen some stuff online, like with like the different animals coming out of the windows and things like that. There's a lot of kinetic energy in this land.
Yeah, and you can see here coming up there. There's a giraffe there at this little fitness club, and you can see them moving their legs.
Oh, that's cute. Incredible.
I mean, it's just a silly little detail that Imagineering came up with. It's just kind of off to the side. There it is. There's nothing spectacular about it. There's no attraction there. But look, isn't that cute? Yes, it's cute.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, 6 Miles. There's been a lot of talk, has Imagineering lost their touch? Because they've lost a lot of talent. They did. After the Pandy, they lost a lot of good people, Yeah. But this kind of shows me that like they still got it.
They do.
Yes. Burbank is the real kind of mitigating factor in a lot of the stuff that we see maybe in the domestic parks. Because when they can go full bore, it seems like they can hit a home run. This is crazy good,
Yeah, it is. And see if you can go find the video of the nighttime walkthrough.
Absolutely.
This is when the neon comes out now, and there's music all through the land. The motif of the land is about this concert that's happening that night, starring Gazelle, the little African dancer animal.
Yeah.
And Gazelle is literally Shakira, so you can imagine that they're playing her "Try Everything" song the whole time, and anything Shakira is yes, of course, and you feel that. Like, here I am, like, hi, Gazelle. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I think this little area is coming up to the neon. Shanghai and in the whole Asia area there, all these cities light up their buildings at night. Shanghai downtown is spectacular at night. They have a whole show. All these buildings, electronics are connected together, and they actually put on a show at night. So this is sort of playing off that a little bit. The same thing in Hong Kong, same thing in Shenzhen. Just a beautiful party place.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible, man. This is absolutely incredible. Oh my gosh.
And so because of what you're seeing here, and you can see that little polar bear, sometimes he'll wake up and talk to the guests. Because of what you're seeing here, the nighttime experience, the party atmosphere, the dancing and the stuff going on in the windows.
How could people not want this?
This is party town.
Disney park?
This is like going through Pleasure Island on a New Year's Eve. It's a dance party. This is what I did not expect when I went to Zootopia. Is the nighttime experience. So beautiful.
And because it's a completely different experience than the daytime. Like, you get a whole new land right now at night.
That's right. And because it's such a party at nighttime, this is why I don't know if it would click very well in Animal Kingdom. If we put this in Animal Kingdom, it would have to go in the front of the park. It would have to go where the Dinoland USA is right now, because Animal Kingdom has real live animals. They need to go to sleep at dark. When it's nighttime, they go to sleep. This place makes a lot of noise. I mean, it's very loud. It's glitzy. It's glaring. There's lights everywhere. You're going to keep the animals awake if this is like near the back of the park. I know some people say, let's put it over near Rafiki's Junction, over the train right away from at the back of the park. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Oh, wow.
Now, if they could have put it at the front of the park, I think it would be a great addition if it were far away from the actual animals. And I think what makes it fit, because Joe Rohde himself did not want Zootopia in his conservation park. He didn't want anything with animals on pants, and I can understand that. But when I was coming out of this, thinking to myself, how can we put it into Walt Disney World and Animal Kingdom? I came up with a justification of what would make this work in Animal Kingdom. And that is, the thesis behind Animal Kingdom is that it's a conservation park. It's a preservation park. We're protecting nature. We're protecting the animals.
Right.
And so my question is, why? Why are we conserving? So if you think of various reasons of why we could be conserving, let's just envision the future, millennia from now, as animals mature in their capability, they become more sentient, they grow opposable thumbs, they start to develop a society, they become like us.
Yeah.
They become like people. They have a city, they have jobs, they talk to each other, they communicate, they have dance parties, they have police stations and stuff like that. The fantastical rationale here I'm trying to come up with is, like, if we can envision a future for these animals in a Disney way that is fantastic and fanciful, this is the reason that you conserve, so that one day they can live in this type of society.
That's clever. That's very clever.
Yeah. I know it's far-fetched. I know you have to explain that to anybody, but I think that would be a reason why you'd put it in Animal Kingdom.
Do you think, honestly, that us as Disney fans, us as a community, that if we, I know probably people would be flipping their lids right now with me saying this, but if we was to adapt of how these international parks think when it comes to these Disney parks, rather than always having something tie into something, and let's just say, you know what, pardon my French, fuck it, let's just put it in here just for the sake of doing it, to have some fun.
Yeah,
and
that's why I call this Discot. for that reason, they could do anything with it.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too, is like from from our perspective, because we're all very much into this stuff. We're Disney nerds. We're we're like neck deep in it. But like the normie, for example, if a normie were to come across a Zootopia and Animal Kingdom, they probably wouldn't even bat an eyelash. They'd probably be like, yeah, animals in Animal Kingdom. Okay. They're not thinking that much about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it probably would be very successful.
Yeah. When you add the fun to this, when you add all this glitzy and this silly little additions they have at every nook and cranny, it's just delightful. It's so much fun. I think if you put something like this in any of the Disney parks, half the park is going to be here.
I actually would love to see this at Disney Hollywood Studios. And where I would love this is take out the animation courtyard, because you can't even really call it the animation courtyard anymore. We have Disney Junior, we have the Launch Bay, and then we have that new Little Mermaid show that's going to come back, which I don't even know why it's even coming back in the first place, but but I mean, like, you have that whole area, it's a back area, and there's even a expansion pad behind Launch Bay, and it's like you could put Zootopia in there. You could still keep the archway, so that's like the entranceway into Zootopia, and that's what I would do. But.
I thought about that too, and I think that's what they likely would do. The difficulty with that, I think, is the naturalistic part of this park. It's kind of a long arch, and part of that arch on the east side is lots of tropical presence to it. And maybe that'll mix when you think of California on the Sunset Boulevard side a little bit. I think they could make it work. It may be a little bit different from what they constructed in Shanghai specifically. It may not need to be completely cookie cutter. But yeah, I think they could make something that works there.
6 miles. You hit the nail on the head real quick. Oh, George, I'm so sorry.
Go for it, bro.
With the footage that we're seeing, the daytime and now into the nighttime, to circle back to what you were saying earlier on in the show, I see a lot of Duffy and Friends. You're absolutely right. Like a huge amount of, like right here. That's why I paused it.
Yes.
And the Judy Hopps stuff. I mean, I haven't seen a single mouse ears yet. Not one.
Yeah. You go to stores and Adventure Isle, and it's just nothing but Duffy. There's nothing. Incredible. There's no like bullwhips or little cap guns or stuff for the boys. It's all Duffy, and they sell out. They sell out. The hotels, like the off-brand hotels that are off, they will come in there and they'll kind of eBay pirate buy some of the Duffy Bears and sell them at their hotel marked up, and they sell out.
Wow, that's incredible. So go ahead, George. I do apologize, brother.
Oh, you're good, bro. But I was just gonna say, like, this land of what we're watching, like right now, is phenomenal. Honestly, daytime and nighttime, I'm like blown away of how this land looks at night.
Yeah, the impression of hearing about Zootopia versus being there is night and day. I mean, literally, if we're seeing it now, is night. It's beautiful. I'm a Disney fan since 1972. I've seen everything. I was very skeptical about this land coming to it, but when I saw it, I was like, Imagineering is on the ball. They're on the ball.
When they're given the freedom to do what they got to do, they clearly still have it. And even not just this, but like with Fantasy Springs in Tokyo, I feel like something out there's some sort of mitigating process. It could be money, it could be I don't know what, but with the domestic parks, they're not hitting home runs like this, for whatever reason. So it's crazy. Now, should we dive into the attraction? I think you got some footage for that too, right?
About 7,000 views now, so that's a very
let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Okay, go ahead and
so as far as attractions, now there's only one attraction in
attraction.
Zootopia. Okay.
Well, yes, there's one ride attraction. I consider the whole land an attraction, honestly.
I could agree with that. Yeah. I could definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, here we go. And I'm going to smash that like button. Make sure when you visit his YouTube channel, you smash that like button too. Okay, here we go. Yeah, no, absolutely. This is great stuff. So this is walking up to the ride, right? This is the walk up.
Yeah, and if you need to zoom up a little bit here, that's fine. But we're going to coming up to the right here. The right is a big, giant queue space, and it's sort of like this is called the marketplace. And we're passing by a little area right now where they sell popcorn. I bought popcorn here at nighttime, and it tastes like carrots. I'm like, I didn't expect that.
Okay, so is it like because of Judy Hopps? I assume.
but it's so good.
Wow.
And so, like you see there, what's in front of us is the actual police station, and so the queue will end up going into that police station. That's where we're going to see Officer Clawhauser at the very beginning. This right turn here is the entrance, sort of a leafy looking type of overhang there, and then we go into this big queue space. And so, the building you see here in front of us is kind of thought to be a so this just kind of zips around here.
So for their rides and attractions, is it just normal standby? Do they have
like Genie Plus,
like Genie Plus Lightning
Yeah,
Lane?
they have Disney Premier Pass type of thing where you can buy a certain number of rides at the beginning of the day, and then they have a sort of like a fast pass lane where you can just jump in and go.
Nice.
I didn't get one on this trip because I wanted to go through all the queues and record everything. So I'm spending my day here getting rid of my jet lag. I'm going to wait in every queue that I can possibly find to see everything. But look what you're seeing here. I mean, this is all very naturalistic. How does this not fit in Animal Kingdom? What you're seeing here is it's spectacular. I mean, versus you've seen Dino Land USA. It's sort of
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that, and I don't mean to kind of go against Joe Rohde. I mean, he's a phenomenal. He's like one of my top favorite Imagineers, but it's like I don't really see too much of a difference. Like when they created the Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama, and it has like that kind of like brightly colored toy-like quality to it, where at least with this, it's still connecting back to like the animal species,
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna have a like a land like this, right? Like like you said, like you guys said, you have Dino Land, right?
Yes.
A very artificial sort of looking land. I'd rather have this because at least this, yes, it's artificial, but at least it's immersive and impressive. The Dino Land thing is artificial and it's a bunch of off the shelf stuff. I mean, this is way better than. I don't know. I mean, this would be cool. I think in Animal Kingdom.
There's so much stuff to catch your eye, catch your attention. That's just pure delight that I don't think I catch at Dinoland USA like I do here.
Yeah.
Or anywhere. I mean, I was thinking, what land that has been built before compares to this, and I think Cars Land is something that compares the most from end to end. When you walk into Cars Land, anything that you see is just delightfully hilarious. The same effect here.
Oh, this is okay. Here he is.
Yeah. So here we walk right into this area, and it's just switchbacks. Everybody's got their phones out recording this guy. But you can see the ceiling here. It's got sort of terrain, grass, giraffe spots up there at the ceiling. It's natural everywhere.
I love this.
Yeah. Officer Clawhauser. Great animatronics. So all the stuff that we're making right now for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, this is the same technology here, and it's very, very fluid, very convincible. It feels like a genuine animated character right there in front of your eyes. It does not feel like an audio animatronic. It feels like Officer Clawhauser. You get that impression. Yeah. It's so not. He's speaking in Chinese here, so I don't know what he's saying, but he still has that goofy type of cartoony voice. It's a lot of fun. He's got his box over there, and every once in a while, the Chief Bogo talks to him on the microphone, so he has to reach over and type a button and talk to him back and forth. A lot of fun.
How long would you say was your wait time, like from starting point to entering the line to actually boarding the ride vehicle?
About half an hour. So let me get a drink here. I think about half an hour. This was the beginning of the day, so I kind of rushed over there to get to it. But throughout the day, it didn't really crowd up too much. So, I mean, it's the good thing about the wait here is it's a great wait. It's a lot of fun. So here we're going back into the offices of the police station. So we're thought to be sort of maybe recruits that are helping everything. It's kind of our first day on the job. And I know there's been a lot of online banter about they bring you into a jail. How dare they? That would not work in the US. That's not the impression that I get when I'm actually riding the attraction and seeing all this. So, of course, this is like being at my office, just walking through here. But then you see Judy Hopps' place. And in this storyline, the fox, what is his name? Rick?
Nick Wilde.
Nick Wilde, yeah. So he's now an officer. So we're going back to the prison area here. So the storyline here is that there's been an escape. The sheep, uh, the fiend sheep from the Zootopia movie, it was trying to pit the predators versus the prey. She went to jail in that movie. So here, the story continues. She escapes. That's why we're in the jail, to sort of see the silliness along the way. It's kind of like walking through the haunted mansion before you get onto the ride.
Yeah.
It's a little bit dooming, but you don't really get the impression, or I didn't, that like, this is a jail. What the hell are we doing in this jail? But look, if you peek in, there's just little delightful stuff.
Yeah, this is the detail with this stuff. This whole land is out of control. I mean,
Yeah.
really good stuff, man.
We'll get to a point here where we're actually seeing the jail escape. So there you see the jail escape. So that
Oh
little
yeah.
the little sheep is left. That's why we're here. You know, we need to go catch her. She's out to disturb society again and pit the predators versus the prey again. We don't want that. You know, there's social justice going on here, not police terribleness.
Right, right.
You know. So now we're the new recruits. We're getting back into the hallway here. Just a bunch of switchbacks. So you can imagine how big this building is, just getting to the attraction. You don't see it from the outside. All this is hidden. So now we're kind of in this little information area, and what's on the screen is talking about that escape. So the news is on. The little sheep is rampaging the city. She's letting loose the predators again. We need to go save the day.
This is great.
There's our coffee pot and donuts. Now we go into the recruit room, and this is Chief Pogo. So, you know, in a sense, we sit at these desks, and of course, we're not doing that. We're walking the queue, but we have all our instructions there. He's going to tell us how to, you know, to get ready for our mission. Well, let's go catch the sheep.
You know, this queue is smart. I like this section right here for a lot of the same reasons I like the Secret Life of Pets queue.
Yeah,
where they use they use the furniture to kind of guide you through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what this whole attraction reminded me of: the Secret Life of Pets, the whole land. This is Disney's version of that. So here we're going to board our police vehicles, our cruisers. And these are basically the trackless vehicles, the same as Galaxy's Edge, same as the Ratatouille.
Oh, this is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's parts where it's like right or left or right, straight. Where do we go? So, and if you remember from the movie, there are all these different area lands of Zootopia. You can go off to the tundra or to the rainforest or to other little areas that's not in Zootopia City.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. So this is kind of like a copy of Mickey and Minnie's Railway right there to me.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know, I was thinking, is this like exactly the same as Galaxy's Edge, just copy and pasted and rethemed? Not really. It's a little bit different than all the attractions that you see in Disney World.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid between Mickey and Minnie, like you were saying, and then also with the Rise of the Resistance. And it's not an exact of either one, which I like. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool.
Now here's where we're positioned in front of screens, kind of Harry Potter style.
Yeah.
We do get some of this. So I kind of peek over at the other car there. And you can see the fish swinging above. And so we're on, our heroes are on this little the sleds trying to catch the sheep. And we're kind of riding along sideways as this is going along. But it's silliness.
Yeah, it is. It's lighthearted. It's very lighthearted.
Yeah. And what's strange is they'll get to a point where we actually end up in the Zootopia land, and in the video projection, it's backwards from what you see outside. I thought that was
that's interesting.
Now here we're sort of the whole thing that's going on all over Zootopia. It's a concert tonight. Everybody's kind of waiting around for this festival concert tonight, starring Gazelle. Let's say these are a lot of fans kind of just gathering around. And you saw the other Gazelle off to the left. That's not the real Gazelle. That's kind of like a fan playing Gazelle.
Oh, okay. And they do a really good job in this attraction. Yeah. You know, the blending of the physical sets with the projections. Very well done. Very, very well done.
This is where we sneak off the room. That's kind of the hippie area where you got the flashing animals there.
Oh, jeez.
That was weird. You know, it's a very dark space, and all of a sudden you see a hippo. You move around, all of a sudden you see the stripper elephant spreading her legs. I'm like, they really put that into a Disney park?
Yeah, it's funny. People were focusing on the jail cells, but that was a little bit more.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh. That was a little edgy.
Yeah, very. This is cool in here, man. This is really. I'm kind of blown away by all of this stuff.
Yeah. So here we're kind of in the rainforest area. She's escaped off of there, so we'll see what we can do to chase her. And if you remember in the movie, they had the Skyliner sky buckets.
Yeah.
This is what we just entered to right now. So now we're into the sky bucket thing, and you can see our heroes up there on the roof looking through a window, and now we're going down the rainforest here, trying to chase her. Let's try to get her. Lightning strikes. Everybody falls. And this is kind of like the Galaxy's Edge, the Rise of the Resistance, where you're inside the little escape pod.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The room doesn't drop, but it does kind of move around a little bit, jolts. So
Oh, this is fantastic.
Be back out of that. It's such a fun attraction.
Yeah.
So we caught her. Everything's good. Let's go to the concert. Here's that sloth character to congratulate us. He's driving around his little roadster, but he's still kind of slow.
That's hilarious.
Dichotomy.
Oh, this is cool, man. They got a helicopter scene too. Oh, this is wow. We need to get this out here, man. I want it. Fantastic.
You do this with Encanto. So here it's backwards. Like the city's there, the police station's on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Really weird. So now all's good. We can go to the concert.
And so okay, cool. So so it ends. I'm assuming with her singing and stuff.
Oh yeah, great animatronic. Again, Shakira. Can't go wrong with Shakira.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she is, but she still seems like she's 20 to me.
Oh, she looks great. Yeah, I agree. What?
Yeah.
She's I believe she is 54 or 50 or 56. But do you know what? Honestly,
look at Shakira there.
I really honestly couldn't care. I mean, it's Shakira because, as she says, her hips don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. No, she does look like she's still 20, maybe 20s, but she looks great.
Yeah. So go to my YouTube channel if you're watching. Go listen to all the audio here. It's spectacular. It's big dance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's kind of the last little scene showing Nick Wilde and bunny hops.
This is great, dude. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And they have this nice mural. I didn't get a good picture of the mural on the wall back there, but it's kind of a very long hand painted script of the city.
This is incredible stuff, and I'm telling you, I think if people actually, because there's been a lot of complaints about this thing, amongst fan circles. I think if people actually took the time, I think a lot of people don't. They kind of jump to conclusions with a lot of this stuff. If they watch your stuff, your content of what this land is, I think people's minds would change as to the whole animal kingdom thing.
It belongs over here. Now, I got in trouble on Twitter the other day because I made a suggestion that maybe if you look at the area of land, George, I know you probably saw it, between the land pavilion and the seas pavilion, that little triangle of land back there.
I did see that tweet of yours.
I purposely tried to get in trouble.
Of course.
I honestly think you could probably fit Zootopia back there between those two pavilions, kind of back a little bit. And because if you think about it, Epcot has changed now. It's I'm Epcot pure to heart. I was there year one. I got to experience Future World from the very beginning, all the best of it. And I miss it very much. But now it's world celebration, it's world discovery, it's world nature. So this park will eventually change over the years to suit those new worlds.
Right.
What do we have in world nature? We have the land pavilion, which is mostly farming. How much nature is there really other than just the rainforest at the very beginning of the Living with the Land ride? And then you have the Seas with Nemo, which is very naturalistic, but it just needs something else. I know the Moana attraction is technically part of world nature, but if it could have something else, could Zootopia be that something else? Tucked in the corner.
I actually thought it was a really good idea. I mean, especially with that amount of space back there, and it's tucked away where it can kind of be part of the world nature, but yet it can kind of have its own identity of land, so to speak. And you had mentioned that the land pavilion is all about farming. Well, that kind of also ties into Zootopia because Judy Hopps' her family owns farming.
Look at there.
There you go.
But
Exactly.
Epcot is historically this utopia park. Got a Zootopia at a utopia, so why not? Maybe it's this showcase of a fantasy world of animals living in their utopia, kind of like our utopia, and show the world what a civil society could be like.
Yeah. Well said. Well
Yeah.
said.
And I think it's very interesting. Oh, sorry, OG.
No, no.
Really quick. I just think it's funny of us as Disney fans when we say, how can Disney do that? Why would Disney do that? Disney can't do that. First of all, Disney can do whatever the hell they want to. And honestly, if we arken back all the way to Walt Disney himself, when the people said, how could you make this theme park? You're absolutely out of your mind. This is going to be a complete disaster. And yet look at it today. It's like, why can't we utilize the philosophy of the founder of this great company as to, like, instead of nitpicking everything all the time, let's just leave it in the hands of Disney. They've been doing it for over 100 years, and moving forward, and let's just see what can become of it.
Yeah, I promise you, based on what I experienced in Shanghai, Zootopia, especially at nighttime, with what you just saw at nighttime, if they put that nighttime Zootopia over there in World Nature, tucked in the back,
Oh man,
lights and that dance party going on all the time, and all these lights, half the park would be in Zootopia.
And honestly, of watching your footage right now, as I said, I've seen a little bit. Like, I more so paid attention to the attraction,
start to get
the ride, but I didn't really focus too much on the land itself up until tonight. But I tell you what, just by that alone, like, I could honestly see myself booking a flight to Shanghai and literally just spending a whole day just in Zootopia alone.
Yeah. When I was in there, I was trying to imagine, what if I never saw the movie? What if there never was a movie Zootopia? Would this still work? I think yes. I think it's cute to have, little animal characters that are humanistic. That's basically what Mickey Mouse and the Barnyard Gang is like. It's just it's a barnyardopia.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's a great point. If you've never seen Zootopia, you can still get a lot out of this land.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Cars movies.
Yeah,
just never really got into them. But Cars Land is one of my favorite things at the resort.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Well, now let me show you one crazy thing, because we have to talk about this. I know we're running long here. Pull up my video that says Zootopia Qtopia. I want to show you
Qtopia. Okay.
I want to show you how we enter this land, because it's crazy. All right, we're sort of on the outer boundary pathway that's circling around Fantasyland, and there's a branch off of that pathway that leads you to Zootopia, again around the outer edges of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So when that video comes up, I'm going to show you this pathway.
Give me just 1 second, and it's Qtopia, right?
Yeah, Zootopia Qtopia. It's on my playlist.
All right, here we go. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. And while OG's doing this, if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to playlist, there's a Zootopia playlist at the very bottom. Watch it all. Spend your time and watch it all.
Absolutely. And all that will be linked down below.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead and all right, here we go. Qtopia. Okay. Let's rock and roll.
Zootopia Qtopia. So this is weird. This is after we have just walked off that back alleyway. So you can see right there encircled in blue, that's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. We're walking this red path here around the edge, and it's long. It's like a freaking quarter-mile long. It's got these barricades here, and you cross a security officer on the way. And when I was doing this, it's like, man, how long is this going to take? Where is this place? When I was walking this, what came to my mind immediately is like, what is it going to be like beyond Big Thunder Mountain? Is it going to be like this, just getting there to whatever they're going to build behind? So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, is this a lot of like free land? Maybe can they build stuff along the way eventually that will kind of make it more incorporated?
Yeah, on the right side, there's some open land there. I think they'll expand back there, and it'll connect a little bit cleaner, I think, when that comes around. Now watch this. There's Zootopia right there in front of us, but watch what we do. we're going to make this right turn to backstage. Look at this. Now we're in walls. And we're in this little mysterious area. Like, what the hell is this? Where are we going? They're taking us somewhere. So what? Evidently, this land is so popular that they have to accumulate the incoming crowd and stack them up in these switchbacks. So here we're going to go into this tent. Look at this. This is my Zootopia experience. And everybody has to do this. You walk into this freaking tent, and it's just switchbacks from front to back. Is this crazy? Or
this is surreal.
Like, I thought back to Videopolis when I was in here. It's like,
oh, totally.
This is very temporary. This cannot be permanent. This cannot be permanent. I'm sure over time the crowds are going to kind of lighten up a little bit. And so they did try to make kind of an attempt to theme the space a little bit. There's some good music going on here. It's sort of felt to be like a festival gathering area before the Gazelle concert. So we're all here kind of meeting our friends and making sure we're all together to get ready to go to Zootopia Land to enjoy this Gazelle concert. So you can see the Gazelle signage everywhere.
Yeah. It was a clever way. It was a clever way to kind of theme the tent. I mean, it really was.
I kind of hope, like, in time, I don't know if it would work the placement wise with Shanghai, but if they do eventually bring Zootopia to the domestic parks, I still think it would be kind of cool to kind of do what Universal did with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, where you board the Hogwarts Express, but for Zootopia, you board the tram that Judy took into the different areas and of like the nature and what have you, and till she actually finally got to Zootopia.
Yeah, I
think that'd be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
So we're about to get out of here. We're getting close to the front. So it basically goes all the way to the back, all the way to the front. I'm guessing when they first built this place, it was lit up and danced and party. Maybe they turned these off. It was just a little bit too much. I don't know. So, but they have these little temporary concert, like, servo lights just hanging around. It's very weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this, but again, Shanghai, 26 million citizens. You got to pack them somewhere.
It almost looks like a vaccine, like where you get the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, or like a Run Disney little staging area or something. Yeah. So we're coming back out here. More walls.
I guess in this case, since you're going into Zootopia, I guess it would be for rabies shots.
Exactly.
So there's a neat little surprise too, just before we get out of this gated area we're about to come up to. Let's see if you can pick up on it.
Okay.
So many walls, but behind this entire park, not too far away, is the maglev train that leads from downtown Shanghai to the airport. So that's kind of a fun little ad. Here's the little sign. Look at the sign on the door.
D23. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now we're in Zootopia. So
wow,
that's Zootopia, Qtopia.
Qtopia. And this, man, gorgeous land, dude. I mean, this is incredible and great footage. 6 Miles. I'm going to be linking everything down below. Make sure everybody you subscribe to him. Also, make sure you follow him on X. But real quick before we go, 6 Miles, I want to ask you your overall opinion of just visiting China in general. Like, is it something that you enjoyed? Did you get a chance to explore a little bit, or what was your feeling on the country overall? Like, not just the Disney part of it.
I have. It's a big country, so where I'm going is Shanghai, which is sort of like this old sphere of influence, the British type of outpost from years back that is now this major metropolitan city. It's sort of like the New York of China, and Beijing is sort of like the Washington, D.C. government center of China. So Shanghai is very, very bustling. And of course, I go there for business. So I'm at work after this the whole time. But we do get to go out. You have to have a visa to go to China. So if you want to visit, you have to get a travel visa. So I have a 10-year business visa, so I get to go very often. But I would say the most memorable thing that I have coming out of China is the food. By far, the food. The dinners are usually in sort of like these family style areas where you got the circular table and the waiter comes out and puts the duck and the pig and the chicken and the squid and all these weird, strange foods. And I'll start putting some of these on my 6 Miles Tall Instagram. But I mean,
Yeah.
you eat some stuff that you've never heard of before or seen before, and it's all revolting looking. And all the chickens have their heads and their eyeballs and their beaks on them and their feet.
It's funny because it's all psychological because we eat chicken, we all eat chicken, right? But like with the head on it, it changes the mass.
We went to Suzhou. Suzhou is this town that's west of Shanghai. It's actually in the Epcot film. I went to a little city park there called what's it called? The Humble Administrator's Garden. And there was a bit from the Circle Vision movie that was filmed in there, and I didn't realize it until I came home. It's like, oh, I was standing right there. But in that city, and it's this place where Marco Polo was at when he was in China, and they called it the what is it, the Venice of the East, because there's so many canals everywhere with the canal boat guys, just like in Venice. But there's a restaurant that they took us to there, and outside the restaurant, literally in front, were these chains and hooks holding like the carcass of sheep. You had the ribs on one side and the head on a hook with the brains and the eyeballs still on, and they're all bloody. And I told my host, like, if somebody in America sees this thing, they're going to run for their lives and scream in horror. It's terrible looking. And they're like, really? This is what it's like everywhere all the time here. It means the food is fresh inside. Come inside and eat. So it's just it's really unusual.
It's a different culture, different mindset. You know, you're right. In America, people will be like, no, I'm not going in there. But like in Chinese culture, it's, hey, it's fresh. You know, this isn't like frozen, whatever. That's crazy. Wow. Interesting.
Most of the time I'm hosted, so I always have somebody with me wherever I'm going. And that's just them trying to make sure they're hospitable to me. But if you're a normal traveler, you can get a travel visa. I don't know exactly how to get that. And you can go straight to Disneyland from the airport. It's pretty close to Shanghai Airport. There was a guy last year before my last trip there. There was a guy that got in there before the visas were reinstated. He managed to get a very specialized travel visa. This guy's Nathan Firesheets. He's on Twitter. He did the challenge where he went to every Disney park across the world in 12 days.
What, 12 days? Oh my gosh.
Days. Started in Paris and then went to Shanghai from Paris. And he got a special travel visa that allowed him to end the country for I think it was 100, maybe like 60 hours. And they were only allowed to come into certain areas. So he got in to do that, managed to go to Shanghai Disneyland. He's got an interesting whole thread about his experience with that. That's interesting. But if you plan to come to Shanghai, just make sure to get your visa. That's the only drawback to the whole thing.
Yeah. 6 Miles, fascinating discussion. We'll have you back on again. This is incredible. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Love it.
Yeah, if you could just remind everybody where they can find you on social media, and then I'll go to George.
Yeah, on X, Twitter at 6 Miles Tall, at YouTube at 6 Miles Tall. Please join my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that channel. Also Instagram. Those are the 3 major platforms that I have. Every day on Instagram for this month and probably next month, I'm putting just all Shanghai stuff everywhere on that channel. So you'll get to see up close all these little delightful images.
Perfect.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pleasure. And the Italiano, if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is.
One more place to look. Look for the podcast called Disney Space on any of the podcast players. Me and Jeff are co-host of Disney Space, and we like to reimagine all these little Disney parks, especially
that's where I first found you.
Yeah,
with Disney Space.
OG was on one of our shows, so that was a lot of fun. So check those out.
No, they're great. Check it out for sure, and really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. That was a good time. It was a couple years ago, I think we did that, right? Something like that. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on Shanghai Disneyland Zootopia. Everything we discussed, everything we saw today. Make sure you comment down below. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.